Hey everybody, it's Brian with Everything X-Carve. Today we're going to make some new bump stops that I found from two different creators and made it into my own. And then we're also going to make a new bit board holder that also can hold these clamps. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Thanks for joining. If you haven't been here before on the channel, this is a CNC beginners channel. I'm not an expert. And if you're new and you're not familiar with the X-Carve, hopefully I can teach you something. That's the whole purpose of the channel, on top of me being able to get out of school and work to come out and play on my X-Carve. So today I wanted to make some new bump stops, and I found two different creators that both have got their projects on the Easel site, and I thought I'd improve upon it a little bit. I have some M5 threaded inserts, so instead of doing theirs, I've modified it, but I want to give credit to Papa's Workshop and Downeast Thunder Creations. Both of these creators have inspired me to build what I want. So I'm going to link their videos down below so you can see theirs. It's not much of a difference. I just removed his new and improved piece of the bump stop up top and then improved upon it. But both of those creators gave me the insight on what I want to do. First, we need to go over to the computer and show you what we did. Okay, so now that we've got Papa's file open up in Easel, the first thing I did was remove the pieces where the nuts would have fit in and replace them with two wasteboard holes that would fit an M5 threaded insert. I then copied them and pasted them over to my work piece, and then removed the top piece of the bump stop. I didn't want that carved. That's the only thing I've changed in Papa's file. Wanted to go over and make sure everything looked good. Everything does. So now we can move on with making sure everything's sized correctly for cutting of the board. And then one thing I forgot to do as I was measuring everything, I forgot to check the depth of where my gray pieces there on the sides would be. It wasn't deep enough, so this led to a lesson learned, and I'll show you that later in the video. Now, as I have everything set up, I'm going to want to go into one of the apps, and I'm going to duplicate this 7 times. So I'm going to go to the Replicator app on Easel. I'm going to change the spacing, and then I'm going to create a total of 8 of these. With the 2-stage carve, we've got to make sure that we have 2 different bits selected. So I'm going to pick the ripping bit, which is a 1/4" bit. I'm going to select as other, and then I'm going to set in my other bit as my 1/8" straight bit. Simulate my times, and that'll show how long it'll take to rip, and then how long it'll take for final cut. So the project piece that I'm going to use today is 0.63 inches deep, 22.5 inches long, and then 19 inches deep. I've already got it clamped down, and that way we can get going on the carve. So this is going to be a 2-stage carve. So I'm going to be changing the bit out with this 1/4" bit that I got. I haven't used it yet, so I'm sure this is going to rip through the project. At least I'm hoping. And then I'm going to use a 1/8 bit for my detail. So I'll take you on the process of changing that bit on a 2-stage carve, and we're ready to carve. So let's get started. We're going to put the new bit in, put our piece away, use the new bit locker that we did on the last video. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave that video link up in the iCard above that shows now. So just put that in. And we'll raise this up a little bit. Take that out, put that away. Put that away. All right, I'm excited for this. I haven't used this yet. So during the carve, I noticed that I was not going to be able to keep up with vacuuming the board, so I was ready to put the dust boot on. As I went to turn off my spindle, I noticed that the motors were free and my whole carriage moved. I got a little worried there and then realized that I did see something prior in the two-stage carve saying that you could free the motors or lock the motors. I would highly recommend making sure that you keep them locked to prevent your motor from moving at all during your carve. So I decided to put the dust boot on just to make sure that the dust isn't going into my lungs. It's also going to keep the shop a lot cleaner, and it's a lot easier for you to see how well your project is coming along. To go back and fix the depth, I had to start the carve over. One benefit of this was I learned another lesson. I resumed the carve and then went to the feed rate override. This is where I was able to find a way to speed up the rate of carving that dead air and then turn it back down to 100% when it got close to the wood, so that way I wasn't wasting time carving dead air. This also allowed me to learn how to get chip load instead of sawdust. One thing you want when you're carving is you want an actual chip load and not just dust. Now that I've played with the feed rate a little bit, I found out that I was actually producing chip load instead of dust. I kept the feed rate at 120%, which was about 60 inches per minute. This is what you should be seeing from your carve instead of sawdust. For this two-stage carve, because I know that I needed to change the bits, I put a little hole, I drilled a little hole right there for my starting point, and then turned on my X-Carve so it was in the exact same spot I left off, so there's no, hopefully there won't be any misalignment when the second stage is getting ready to go. So we'll go over to Easel and we will start the second piece of the carve. So the only difference you have to do in Easel is you click Detail Pass, Continue, and then you move on to make sure you've got the right bit in Easel. Make sure you've got it in your spindle already, and then start carving. Final step is putting the threaded inserts into the holes, and we're good to go. The best thing about these bump stops is you can put them at different angles, so if you've got a piece of wood that is angled incorrect or just isn't straight, you have the flexibility there to adjust, as you can see with that bump stop up top. Now that we have the new bump stops in place, we're gonna go ahead and we're going to build our new bit board. My old bit board kind of outgrew itself a little bit just with the new tools, like the spindle lock that I've put in and a wrench, which is great for these M5 threaded inserts. Much easier to lock down than try to hand tighten. They spin a lot quicker as well. So if you have one of these, I would highly suggest using it. If not, I would recommend getting one for the M5 threaded inserts. It is a time saver as well. So as you can see, this one did not work out as well as I thought it would. I would have done a bigger video on the bit board, but it is now firewood. And I think the reasoning might have been because of the 1/8 straight cut bit that I was using. So I'm going to do another video, this time using a downcut spiral bit, probably about an 1/8 inch of size, and then we'll post that later on. But right now we're going to end the video, so thanks for watching, and stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. It shows me that you guys are interested in what I'm doing. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.